Brad Marchand and the Bees get the better of the Buds in game number 3. We'll break it all down on today's edition of the Locked On Leafs podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day.
You're Locked On Maple Leafs, your daily podcast on the Toronto Maple Leafs. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome into the Locked On Leafs podcast, a daily Maple Leafs-centric podcast hosted by myself, Mike DiStefano, and my co-host, Dave Morassutti. Today's episode is brought to you by Monopoly Go. I admit it, I have a competitive side, Dave, and it is a big fan of Monopoly Go, the mobile hit classic twist on the classic Monopoly game. So join your friends and download Monopoly Go, now free on the App Store or Google Play. What's going on, everybody? Maple Leafs with a 4-2 loss to the Boston Bruins in game number 3. The Bruins take back home ice advantage. They now lead the series 2-1. Dave, how you feeling after that one?
Oh, I feel fantastic, man. Sarcasm there. That was just. It's just.
What was the most angering part about that game is the fact that, again, the Maple Leafs, for the 9th time in 10 playoff games, only were able to score 2 goals in a game. Only once in the last 10 playoff games have they scored more than 2 goals. And it was the last game, and they scored 3, a monumental leap. Or was it the fact that Brad Marchand, the pesky rat himself, just continued to get under the Leaf skin and ended up really being the dagger, scoring the go-ahead goal and the insurance marker, the empty netter, to seal the Leafs' fate tonight? Like, which one is more infuriating?
I mean, it has to be the goals. You got home ice, you have 5 power play opportunities, and you got 2 goals with 0 of those coming on the power play.
Yeah.
Like, you know what? You can play tough. You can do all that stuff to try to get under the opponent's skin, try to push back. It means diddly squat if you are not doing the one thing you need to do to win hockey games, and that is score goals and keep goals out of your net.
Yeah. No, special teams, man. We talked about it going into it. Special teams are going to be the difference in this series. It's kind of been the difference in most every series that the Leafs have been in over the course of this entire Matthews and Marner era. And when they're not on the right side of it, typically it doesn't go well for Toronto. And once again tonight, you look at it, 0 for 5 on the power play, just 1 for 3 on the penalty kill. Although the one power play goal, I suppose, was when net was empty. But regardless, need to do better on special teams. That is definitely the killer right now for the Toronto Maple Leafs. And yeah, you get 5 opportunities, you come away with 0 goals. It's tough. It's really, really tough. I think Sheldon Keefe said it best after the game. That's the difference between a win and a loss, right? Like, you score 2 at 5-on-5. If you're able to get 1, maybe 2 in one of those 5 power plays, that's a totally different hockey game. Completely different hockey game. But instead, the 2 power play goals go the other way, and that ends up being the difference in the game.
No, pretty much. Like, when you lose a game that close, obviously, even if you take away the empty netter, you look at those missed opportunities, and obviously there's a lot of heat being thrown at Samsonov, which I get it. I didn't like the Frederick goal.
I don't get it. I really don't get the heat being thrown at Samsonov. I'll be honest with you. The Frederick goal is weird, okay? Let's go back to that entire sequence in play.
Sure.
How play was not blown dead. Like, I don't know if Samsonov, I'd like to go back and kind of take a look at that replay again. If Samsonov was maybe kind of preoccupied with what was going on between Bertuzzi and Marchand, it seemed like the camera was starting to pan and everybody else was starting to get up. The crowd was starting to roar after that. And then all of a sudden, no penalty comes, play continues, but the goal ends up in the back of the net. And everyone's like, wait, what the hell just happened? right? Like it was a really weird play. So I'm not going to blame Samsonov on that one. I guess you could say you got to play to the whistle, so you need to pay attention, especially as the
Mhm.
goaltender, and that's fair. But look, that there were multiple infractions on that play that should not have even allowed Boston to touch the puck legally without setting a penalty off. But I don't know what, like, Dave, we try not to blame officiating for a lot here on this podcast, but tonight was terrible. Like the McAvoy literally like bear hugging Matthews and pulling him down to the ground. That little scuffle with yeah, this one right here we're showing on YouTube. Like this is ends up kind of as a result of that. So that whole sequence in play was just nonsense right from the beginning. And I don't know. I have a hard time kind of blaming Sammy on that one. It's not a great look, obviously, but still, when your team only gives you a 2-goal cushion, he's not the reason for the loss by any means.
No, I don't think he was the reason for the loss at all. Like to me,
But I see those comments out there, Dave. Like I put
I
out a
know.
tweet and I was like, "Oh, built different, same results, right? Same thing. 9 of the last 10 outings, team has been held to 2 or less goals." And then the people are like, "Yeah, goaltending's the big issue. They've lost the goaltending battle in each of those series, in each of those games." I'm like, okay, I don't think goaltending is the issue. Like realistically, if the Maple Leafs were to score 2 goals in all those games for them to win, Samsonov would have to have a 1-goal outing in each of those games to win. That's impossible
Yeah.
to expect from a goaltender. Okay, so it's not on Samsonov. Samsonov's not the reason. Goaltending has never been the reason for why this team hasn't been able to win the playoffs. We all understand that. It has been scoring. It's been the absentees of the big boys at times. Obviously, we saw Matthews have his big monster game the other night. Wasn't quite as dominant tonight. Didn't think he was bad, but he wasn't as dominant. Mitch showed some promise throughout the game in stretches, but we still need to see those guys bring, that consistency. Got to get their A game. And then obviously William Nylander, they need him badly, especially we bring it back to the power play. Boy, could they ever use him on the power play. But just regardless, they need to get some offense from someone somewhere because 2 goals in a hockey game just isn't enough. Just not enough in 2024 when goals are up. Goals are up, scoring's up, power plays are up. That's what happens. And when you can't kill off a penalty to save your life, you better damn make sure that you can make up for it with some 5-on-5 scoring or a power play goal of yourself to cancel it out. Toronto just hasn't been able to do that.
Yeah, see, like, and I want to go back to your comment a little bit on Mitch Marner. Other than the goal that he got the assist on, it wasn't really much for me to like, in my opinion. Like, part of the reason why the power play struggles, you have Mitch Marner in the zone deciding to make a blind backhand pass that gets intercepted and gets sent down the ice. He's the catalyst on that power play. We know it. The puck's on his stick mostly. When that first power play came about, I thought, okay, this is looking more promising because they're creating a little bit of chaos. They're getting guys in front. They're getting opportunities. They had like 3 shots on that power play. After that, it was a disaster. And part of the reason, in my opinion, is Mitch Marner's not getting separation. Yeah, guys are, as we talked about, standing still a little bit, but he's also not getting himself into good spaces. He's a lot of, and not just him, Riley, some other guy, a lot of other guys shooting at shin pads.
Yeah.
You got to find a way to get the puck through, guys. You're paid to do that.
Yes.
You're paid to get this puck into danger areas. You don't need 2 guys crashing the net on the power play. You got Bertuzzi doing it. You don't need Tavares doing it. Mix things up a little bit. But it's going to be the same old song and dance until they make those changes.
Well, and also like pick up the speed, pick up the pace on the power play. Like it's just so stagnant, so slow, just moving it all perimeter, and then eventually they try and send it inside. But like pick up the pace, spread the defense. Don't give them time to get in the shooting lanes. That's something too that's kind of been annoying. The snail's pace at the power play has kind of been moving at over the course of the last, I mean, we talked about it going into the playoffs. Like, it was 12.5% since March 1st. So this isn't even a new struggle for the Maple Leafs. This is now going on like 2 full months where there has been some serious struggles for this power play. And I actually want to pick up on this point on the other side, because there was a great response from Jim Montgomery earlier or post game about how he got his power play clicking after kind of fading towards the end of the season, just like Toronto's. So I want to kind of throw something out at you. So we'll do that on the other side. We'll go through the good, the bad, the ugly. And so we'll do that next here on the Locked On Leafs podcast.
Today's edition of the Locked On Leafs podcast is brought to you by Indeed. When you're drafting your fantasy team, do you ever wish you could handpick the best stars for your business team? If you're building your talent roster, you need Indeed. Indeed is the hiring platform where you can attract, interview, and hire all in one place. Don't spend hours on multiple job sites looking for candidates with the right skills when you can do it all with Indeed. Find top talent fast with Indeed's suite of powerful hiring tools like matching, assessments, and virtual interviews. Candidates you invite to apply through Instant Match are 3 times more likely to apply to your job than candidates who only see it on search, according to U.S. Indeed data. Indeed does the hard work for you. Sponsor job, and they'll match you with quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed fit your job description right when you post. With Indeed, you can start hiring fast. So join over 3 million businesses worldwide using Indeed to hire great talent fast. Indeed knows that when you're growing your own business, you have to make every dollar count. That's why with Indeed, you only pay for quality applications that match your must-have job requirements. Visit Indeed.com/lockedon to start hiring now. Just go to Indeed.com. Terms and conditions apply. Cost per application price is not available for everyone. Need to hire? You need Indeed.
Welcome back into the Locked On Leafs podcast, a daily Maple Leafs centric podcast hosted by myself, Mike DiStefano, and my co-host, Dave Morassutti. Just a reminder, we are still doing our giveaway. You can still sign up for the Austin Matthews jersey giveaway, thanks to us hitting 5,000 subscribers on YouTube. I was going to say followers, thinking I'm in Twitter mode here. But we hit 5K subscribers on YouTube a couple weeks ago. And as a thank you to all of you, we are giving away a Maple Leafs jersey and an Austin Matthews jersey. But you've got to sign up on the form below. Dave, you want to tell the good folks kind of the process to make sure that they can get themselves signed up?
Yeah, so and I know a few people in the comments were looking for the link. It's going to be just below the episode description. Follow that link. Go to the Google form. Give us your information.
You have to click to expand more also. That might be the issue. You've got to expand the show notes in the description. And once you expand it, then it'll be there.
Yeah. And then it'll take you to the Google form. Fill out your information. Make sure you give us accurate information so that we can eventually contact you to when the person is selected. So that's kind of important there. I think we're getting close to 300 responses, which, in my opinion, is a little low, guys. I want to get a lot of people a chance to win a free Austin Matthews jersey.
I mean,
free. You don't have to do anything, guys.
5,000 of you are eligible, and only 300 are taking the opportunity to submit for the jersey. Come on, guys. Let's get going here. All right. Let's get back into breaking down last night's 4-2 loss to the Boston Bruins in game number 3. Let's go through the good, the bad, and the ugly here, Dave. We've kind of spoken, at length about what we haven't liked so far, but was there anything that you did like about the game, Dave?
Well, what I did like about the game was look at the goals they scored.
Mm-hmm.
Went to the net, right? Matthews Knies got himself in a position. Like, I can't remember who was someone was telling me like, oh, Matthews Knies isn't really an offensive threat. And I'm like, what? like what are we talking about? He's just gonna go out and bang bodies. I'm like, no, he could score. Just you got to give him an opportunity to score. He put himself in that opportunity to score. And then I was at first, you and I were texting. I thought it was initially Riley's goal because I thought it went off Lindholm, but Bertuzzi got a piece of it. That's like we were texting saying Bertuzzi forgot how to score on an open net. Well, apparently he just needs to score a harder chance. Like he doesn't need open nets. He got to go with the tougher ones.
Now that he's got one, though, hopefully, he can start piling them up. I got to tell you, I was super stoked about it. My best bet tonight through covers.com was Tyler Bertuzzi to score an anytime goal. I kind of went out on a limb and went for like a larger wager, a less likely wager, but had a feeling that maybe he could get one tonight. And it wasn't pretty, but they don't ask how, they just ask how many. And that was a dub. That was one. That's all I needed for Tyler Bertuzzi to cash that wager. So that was good. That was good. Made some money on FanDuel with Tyler Bertuzzi scoring an anytime goal. But you brought up Matthews Knies, and I really liked his game too. I thought that he was probably one of the better Leaf forwards out there, outside of the top line, I guess. I think the second line definitely had a better night than they did they did in game 2. But Matthews Knies, you talk about it, just go to the net, good things happen, right? Like Mitch Marner makes a really good pass to get it over, and he just has his stick on the ice, redirects it, and ends up going up high and opens the scoring. So Nat Knies, solid game again, winning some board battles, engaging in front of the net, engaging in the corners, winning some pucks. So Matthews Knies, to me, he had a pretty solid game. Calle Yarncroc actually had a pretty good game too. Quietly had a solid game, winning some puck battles, doing a lot of really good things when he had the puck too. So I like Yarncroc.
Just needs to pot one. He had his opportunities, just need to find a way to get one in there.
Yeah. All right, Dave, let's get to the bad. What was bad? Where do you want to start with?
Oh man. I'm gonna start with the sequence that led to the goal, but the Bruins' first goal, the Frederick goal.
Yeah.
To me, what I didn't like too about that is not what happened on the play, but the Leafs' response after. It seemed to do exactly what Brad Marchand wanted, which was to get into the Leafs' head. Because not too long after, Bertuzzi took that roughing call, which, guys, it was a roughing call. When you get your hands up high, it's going to get called. I know that they haven't been calling things consistently in this game, but that's going to get called.
But that's the problem when there's a certain standard that's being set for one team and then it's not being obliged for the other, and there's a completely different set of rules and a set standard. I could see why the fan base was upset with the officiating tonight. And again, I do want to reiterate, like, we very rarely do we pick on officials or say refs caused the team the game. The refs didn't cause them the game. They gave them 5 power plays. It's not like it was completely lopsided, but there should have been a few more, I think we could say, for certainty, especially on the Boston side. And Marchand definitely deserved a couple of them. That one McAvoy one deserved a penalty for sure. And then was it at the end of the game too? Even the Tavares one was very ticky. I'm pretty sure Tavares' stick was being held, and they ended up calling him.
Squeeze his legs together and grab the stick. Tavares, frustrated, then tries to go after get McAvoy. He uses a free hand to grab him. One looked more blatantly obvious than the other, and that's why one got sent to the bin, and the other one's like, "Oops, I didn't mean to do it."
The officiating was quite bad tonight. I think we can agree with that. The officiating was not great. Giving up a goal 13 seconds after scoring to tie the game, not good. And if you want to talk about, actually, I want to get your thoughts on this. Did you think it was a bad decision for Sheldon Keefe to throw out the Bertuzzi, Matthews, Domi line, keep them out there after they had scored the goal? I think they were talking on the broadcast that they had I believe it was like a 26 or 36 second shift when Bertuzzi had scored that goal. Some believe that they probably should have taken the goal and then went and sat on the bench and brought out some fresh legs. That obviously did not happen. And 13 seconds later, they get scored on by Brad Marchand. What was your thoughts on that decision? Was that a bad move by Keefe, or are you okay with it?
Well, I mean, 7 seconds earlier, they almost scored. Like, that's the problem.
Right.
Like, they almost scored, and then obviously it went the other way. They had tired legs. But my issue with that goal, Domi should have marked Marchand standing right beside him with the chance to shoot. But it's also, and it was kind of my a part of my other thing with the bat in this game, which was the Leafs were terrible down low in their zone. They looked like they could not handle the puck. Like it was like a beach ball to them. They couldn't do anything with it. They were trying to get it out. They struggled with it. They were beat by the Bruins forecheck down low, and that's what happened on that goal. Like as much as you want to maybe say the forwards could have helped more and they were tired legs, the D-man also got beat bad below the goal line there. That led to Marchand getting the puck, and then obviously Domi not recognizing it enough and not being able to do anything with it.
Yeah, you got to give credit to Boston. They did have a relentless forecheck tonight. I believe the hits were outrageous. 68-65 were the hits tonight. 68 for Toronto. They led with 68 hits, 65 hits for the Boston Bruins. So both sides were playing quite physical. I guess we could put that in the good category that, the Leafs are still playing a physical brand of hockey. And there was that sequence, I think it was
Benoit and Reeves.
Benoit and Reeves trading hits back and forth. Like that really got the crowd going in the first period. Like they are playing physical. They are finishing their checks. So you do have to definitely give the Maple Leafs credit that they are sticking to that game plan at least. It hasn't resulted in enough offense, obviously, but it is their game plan, and they are trying to. Like Matthews Knies had 6 hits tonight. Bertuzzi had 5 hits tonight. He got 6 hits out of Benoit. Do you know who led the team in hits tonight?
I don't think it was Reeves. It was
Austin Matthews.
Oh, he did it again. I wouldn't have thought, but he laid a nice hit early in the game that really kind of got the crowd energized.
Yeah, for sure. He had a big game. But yeah, he had 8, and then Revo won back with 7 hits. But everybody registered a hit in tonight's game. Actually, only 2 players only got 1. So nearly everyone, 16 of the 18 skaters, had 2 or more hits in tonight's game. So they're definitely still playing a very physical brand of hockey, which is good. Surprised we haven't seen any fights yet. Like we're 3 games in. I thought for sure we'd see a fight by now.
I think they're trying. It's probably one of those momentum things too. Like
tight games. No one wants to give it to the other team,
right? And Pat Maroon's not fighting Ryan Reeves. That's not happening.
Yeah, I guess. But Edmondson, Benoit, McCabe, there's plenty of guys who are willing to fight on this team.
Oh, I don't know if it's the Leafs. I don't think it's the Leafs that are not really. I think it's Boston's not willing to engage, in my opinion.
Yeah, maybe. All right, the ugly. Quickly, let's get to the ugly. I mean,
this is going to be a little bit at the fan base too. If you're going to complain about the refs, stop. I understand they made egregious misses, but this power play can't do anything with it. The penalty kill can't do anything about stopping the Bruins. The Bruins are at what? Almost 50% in the series right now in terms of the power play. I heard 5 out of 10.
Maybe even better after that one goal.
And the Leafs were 0 for 5. I'm sorry if you're it's one thing to complain the Matthews one. Yes, complain about that because that stoppage likely doesn't lead to that goal going in. I get that one, but if your team is not able to take advantage of the calls that are going your way, what's the point of complaining? Sheldon Keefe, maybe we'll talk about in the last segment here about Marchand, but I just again. It's the wrong energy, and I think the Leafs are also letting it get to their heads too. If you're going to want those power play opportunities, do something about it. You had every even if you get 2 half, if you're even 2 out of 5, this is a totally different game.
I mean, 2 out of 5, it's 40%. That's quite a lot.
But when you have 5 opportunities, that's pretty. The Bruins were 2 for 3.
Dude, they would need 1. Go 1 for 5. You go 1 for 5, this thing goes to overtime at the very least, right? Or you get one at the right time. This is a completely different hockey game. Yeah, like
That's
totally.
true too. But
100%.
but when you have 5 opportunities, this power play is good enough to get at least 2 goals. The problem is
It's so perplexing, what's going on with this power play. Oh, that's what I wanted to ask you actually. Why don't we come back? I want to pick up on this point. So let's come back and let's get into the struggling power play, and then we could also get into Sheldon Keefe's comments on Brad Marchand after the game as well. So we'll do that on the other side. You're listening to the Locked On Leafs podcast, part of Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by Monopoly Go. We all have a competitive side, and my competitive side is a big fan of Monopoly Go. I'm sure you've heard of it. It's been downloaded over 150 million times. It's a great twist on Monopoly where you play not on one, but hundreds of Monopoly boards in crazy locations, building up all these amazing cities that bring you big money. Here's the best part. You can mess with your friends. You can charge them rent on iconic properties, just like in the classic Monopoly game. And now you can also heist their vaults for riches for yourself. And the leaderboards will show who is the biggest Monopoly tycoon. But it's not just the competitive side that loves it. You can also team up with your friends and people all around the world in time tournaments to earn huge rewards. So get in the game and join your friends. Download Monopoly Go, now free on the App Store or Google Play. Welcome back into the Locked On Leafs podcast. Mike DiStefano and Dave Morassutti reacting to the Game 3 loss. Detroit. Wow. Boston defeating the Maple Leafs 4-2. Big part of that was because the power play went 0 for 5. They've been abysmal throughout the entire playoffs, and they've been abysmal since March 1st, where they're operating at less than 11% since March 1st. It is disgusting. Which brings me to a point that I want to make here. I was listening to the post game, and they were talking to, they say David Montgomery? No, Jim Montgomery?
Jim Montgomery.
Jim Montgomery. Okay. For a second, I thought maybe it said Dave Montgomery. They're speaking with Jim Montgomery after the game, and they had asked him how the power play got back on track, because just like the Maple Leafs, the Bruins had also kind of hit the skid heading into the playoffs when it came to the man advantage. But Jim Montgomery ended up splitting up the units and kind of just being a more of a balanced attack, and clearly it's worked throughout the first 3 games, right? They've got 5 power play goals, 50%. It's been the big difference here in this series. And he was asked kind of what made him do it and why the power play has succeeded, whereas Toronto has not. Well, I wasn't asked about the Toronto part, but why his has succeeded. And his answer was splitting up the units cleared people's minds, and it didn't pressure people to get the puck to specific players. He's referring to getting the puck to Marchand or getting the puck to Pasternak, and it's allowed them to kind of play more freely. And he believes that that's kind of refreshed their attack and give. I'm guessing what he was meaning was the Leafs didn't really have a book on it, right? And now it's completely different, and it's allowed them to capitalize. Should the Maple Leafs maybe look into doing this? So there's 2 off days in between games 3 and 4 here, so they don't play until Saturday. Would you like to see maybe Sheldon Keefe shake up the power play and maybe try a more balanced approach heading into game 4, a la what Monty and the Bruins did heading into the postseason, which has yielded tremendous results?
I mean, at this rate, if Nylander's not coming back for the next game, you need to consider something. Like, they moved Yarncroke onto the first power play unit, and to me, the issue I have with the first power play unit playing so much
Well,
is they get
Bertuzzi's there now, but
Yarncroke took Bertuzzi's place, I think, later in the game. Where is Nick Robertson on this power play? Like, if you're going to have a guy on the power play that will shoot the puck, maybe make the opposing team not go to one side to cover Austin Matthews, Nick Robertson might help in that area. I think he's got a pretty good shot. That's one thing I would try, but I also like you got to move guys around. Guys can't be. Like, I think the problem with this power play, in my opinion, you brought it up last time. They're too stationary. Austin Matthews just sticks to that one side. Bruins just have to stay there. He's not going to move. You got and look at the way that the Bruins scored this goal. Their first power play goal. Guys are moving around. Marchand takes a shot on net. DeBrusk, while his feet are moving, gets the rebound. Samsonov can't stop it, right? Because he's, it's a lot of movement there, and DeBrusk scores on the rebound. Because they're moving around, they're causing the Leafs penalty killers to have to chase the puck, chase the play. Leafs aren't doing that. The Bruins are taking away time and space, and the Leafs, I think that's one thing I think they need to change, because I don't see Sheldon Keefe just getting rid of this first unit. If he should have done this in the regular season where he could have tried different things with it. I don't see him doing it in the playoffs, but I do think you need to do something to get Matthews the puck more. Get him shooting on the power play more. Get other guys shooting on the power play. Even JT. I remember when JT got to the Leafs the first time, he was actually the guy in Matthews' spot because he was shooting the puck. More guys need to shoot. Less passing, more shooting.
Yeah, well, he's good in the bumper role, but they're not really utilizing him in the bumper because they're just so perimeter. They're not really getting the puck into that area as often as they should. Yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't mind them trying it, and that's why I reference the fact that there is 2 days off in between. So it gives you a couple of days to try something new, something different. I think it might be worth doing potentially, especially if Willie does come back, right? Clearly there's an injury there, so I don't know if he's going to be full capacity or full go to get full minutes. So maybe a way to limit his minutes is not have him on the top power play unit. You could have him on the second unit, and you can have, Tavares on the second unit, and have those guys kind of anchor, PP2, but then keep the guys who we were talking about, Matthews and Marner up there. You can have Domi, maybe playing there, Bertuzzi. Potentially you can slide in Nick Robertson, like you said, a trigger man, a shooter in there, and then keep Morgan Riley up at the top of the point. So there are options that this team could do. It's just a whether or not they're willing to make a change. And I don't know why they wouldn't. Like I said, we're talking about a team that's been under 12%.
It's losing you game. It's lost you 2 games in this series, in my opinion. Game 1 and game 3.
Yeah. And look, I get it. The talent is there. There's no reason why it shouldn't work. And I get why Keefe is frustrated and why he believes eventually it will. I mean, they had their looks tonight. Like, let's not act like they were completely dog crap. I still am curious. Like, I just don't know how Bertuzzi did not score on that mad scramble in front of the net. Like, I thought for sure that puck was going to end up in the back of the net. He had 3-4 actually real good looks on that play, but unfortunately couldn't get it high enough to get into the back of the net. But they got the puck on goal. They forced rebounds and they got a couple. Just it didn't get it high enough. Wasn't able to beat Swayman, but they got it, right? They got it to those areas. So it's not that it's been completely anemic, but when the results aren't there the way that they have been, you got to try something different, right? The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. You've done the same thing for 2 months now, and you've got the same results. That's no results, actually, is what you've gotten from it. So, yeah, I would strongly suggest or welcome at the very least a new look power play, whether that's splitting guys up, I don't know, but I would definitely welcome that for sure. We've got 2 days to practice.
Yep.
Right. So it's not like there's no time to implement something new. You could definitely try and get it done. I guess we could give an update. Well, we don't really have an update on Willie, but again, did not play in tonight's game. Hopefully with 2 extra days to rest, he could be good for Saturday night. But boy, does it look like they need him. They just need that little extra oomph. The problem is we don't really know what the extent of this injury is for Willie. And will he be able to uh, give the Leafs the boost they need? Like a healthy Willie for sure. How healthy is he? This is the question now that I think is starting to set into Leaf fans. Like the fact that he wasn't good to go today, I think maybe is starting to doubt like how healthy this guy is. Like there must be something like seriously wrong to miss 3 games like this, 3 big games like this. Um, I don't know. Hopefully he'll be good to go and he can give this team some sort of boost and be good enough despite not being 100%. But we'll see. We'll see. Maybe that's a conversation for tomorrow, Dave. Really quick before we go, shout out to Artur Aktyamov,
Yep.
a Maple Leafs prospect who just won the, what do you call it, the VHL?
The VHL, yeah.
Yeah, so that's the essentially like the American League of Russia, the VHL, their tier 2 league slash junior league. It's a different situation there. I think it's more so a junior league actually. But regardless, he just won the championship for his team out in Russia. So congrats. I think they were the 9th seed for, I don't know why 9 seeds make it the playoffs, but that's the tweet that I saw. 9th seed carried his team all the way with a terrific performance and won the championship, the VHL championship. So congratulations to Artur Aktyamov and our boy Easton Cowan, still kicking out there with the London Knights. So catch a Knights game whenever possible and get a glimpse of future Maple Leaf Easton Cowan. With that said, Dave, unless you have any other final thoughts, why don't we sign off for tonight?
Yeah, we're gonna have some stuff to talk about tomorrow, anyways.
Yes, we will. Hopefully, the Leafs. I don't know if it's going to be like an off day or if they're going to be on the ice, but regardless, we will. We'll come back tomorrow, reconvene, and fill you in on what's happening in Leafland between games 3 and 4. But that'll do it for us here today on the pod. I'd like to thank you all for listening and supporting the show. You can subscribe to the Locked On Leafs podcast on all platforms and receive daily Leafs content. Follow myself on Twitter at Mickey_Canuck. Follow Dave at D_Morassutti. You can follow the show as well at Locked On Leafs. We'll be back with another episode for y'all tomorrow. Until then, keep it locked right here on Locked On Leafs.